We're live.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to call to order the Champaign-Urbana Mass Transit District Decennial Committee on Local Government Efficiency. It is Wednesday, December 6th. It's 3 o'clock, and I'll ask for a roll call, please.
Barnes.
Here.
Chaplin.
Here.
Delgado.
Here.
Dial.
Here.
Fasella.
Present.
Friedman.
Here.
Gannett.
Here. I'm not used to having to do that.
Hannon.
Here.
Nudo.
Here.
Tannen Harold. Quorum is present.
Thank you. Our next item is approval of our agenda for today's meeting. I'll ask for a motion. Second, please.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve our agenda for today's meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Our next item is audience participation for the Decennial Committee on Local Government Efficiency. Anyone from the audience like to speak to the committee? Seeing and hearing none, our next item will be approval of our minutes from our previous meeting dated June 28th, 2023. Those are attached for your review. Again, ask for a motion in a second.
Seconded.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes dated June 28th, 2023. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion carries. Our next steps, Carl.
Okay, I've asked Ashley to come and kind of walk you through what our process was for the request for proposals to hire a consultant to help the committee with their work. So, Ashley.
Hello. Okay, so at the previous meeting, Attorney Parker provided a draft RFQ for a potential consultant to help with this work for the committee. We talked briefly about that at the previous meeting, and then after that meeting, MTD staff took that draft and adapted it, included a timeline and some other specifications that are common to MTD requests for work. And then on July 13, that draft was released back to the committee for final review and comment. We did receive a couple helpful comments from committee members Chaplin and Friedman, which we incorporated. And then our last step was to come up with some sort of proposers list. This is something that we generally have before we release a request for work. We come up with a potential bidders list or proposers list. And we struggled to do that with this one. It was a unique scope. It was work that we hadn't requested before. Attorney Parker even reached out to one of the attorneys who helped draft this legislation, and they were unable to provide any recommendations for people or agencies that might help. So without that list, we proceeded and we released an RFQ or a request for qualifications on September 18. We advertised it on our website, in the News Gazette, through the Champaign County Chamber of Commerce newsletter, and also through the Illinois Government Finance Officers Association website. And the due date was October 6th, but during that time we didn't receive any questions, any requests for information or for the proposal, or any interest at all or submissions. So unfortunately, we have not secured a consultant to do this work or identified anyone interested or able to do this work for us.
So here we are with no consultant to bring to you to award an agreement with. So I think that we can kind of chalk this up to a noble effort that just didn't pan out. We wanted to hire a consultant that would enable us to do a bit more of a deep dive into the analysis of these elements that the Act requires a report on. But there doesn't seem to be anybody out there who can or who is willing to do the work. So, in effect, yes, Bruce?
Have you tried the university?
We didn't try the university directly, but we advertised, and so the university, if there was anybody at the university who could have done it, real quick, Margaret did reach out to Library Sciences to see if that was something that they could do, and it was indicated that they would not.
The Geist School surely has somebody who wouldn't mind consulting.
Well, we can try to reach out to them. I mean, we're not beholden to any kind of strict timeline, so we have plenty of time to do this, so we can reach out to Geese and see if the business school has somebody that they could do that could do this kind of work.
On a consulting basis.
Right.
Yeah.
So we can do that. Barring any interest on that, I think what we'll do is, and that's a good idea, Bruce, we'll definitely do that. Barring any interest on Geese, if they follow the same suit as everybody else that we've attempted to do something with, then I think staff will do the majority of the work, and we'll certainly give each of the committee members an opportunity to review documents and give input, and then staff will write up the report for the committee to review, and that's the product that we'll end up submitting to the county board then. So we will reach out to Geese. That's a good idea.
I think George has some
Yeah, I've
input
seen a
he'd
couple
like to
hands,
share.
and then George has his light on, so I think, George, your light was first.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you had touched base with any of the other transit systems in the state. They must be having the same problem we're having.
Yeah, the ones that are doing the same thing nobody was even attempting to do what we attempted to do, so they weren't going out to bid. They didn't have the RFQ process that Ashley talked about. They just are writing up a report from a staff perspective. So they jumped right to the point where we're pretty much finding ourselves at.
But that's just exactly what the law is trying to get around. Sort of looking at our own navel.
Well, I don't, I mean, that's a fair perspective. I don't know that the language of the law doesn't say that. It doesn't say that staff shouldn't do the work, or that the committee shouldn't do the work. So that may be somewhat true. Alex, did you want to respond to that? No? Okay. So that's a fair perspective, Bruce, but I mean, our hands are tied. We'll reach out to Geese Business School, but outside of that, we're kind of running out of gas on that front.
Lots of places in the city and county have the same problem, right?
This is sort of a follow-up to what George was saying. Have other local agencies by any chance found somebody that we could piggyback on, or they're
Yeah,
stuck
again,
the way we
it's
are?
similar to the transit districts. I'm not aware of any other taxing body that is having to follow this act, so that doesn't include Champaign-Urbana. The home rule cities don't have to do the work. Excuse me. So I'm not aware of park districts got exempted from it for some strange reason, lucky reason, I guess. I'm not aware of any other districts that or taxing bodies that have found a consultant, but nor am I aware of any that were attempting to find a consultant.
Maybe a last result is to find another MTD nearby and have them look us over and we look their stuff over. I'm just trying to avoid the internal logical support from staff.
So I think in theory that's a good idea, Bruce. One of the reasons why I wanted to have a consultant was I was trying to avoid staff having to do this work because it's just another thing that staff who are overworked and putting in a lot of time doing the normal stuff that now we have to accomplish this too. Doing it for another transit agency in another community and having them come here kind of, I don't know, triples or quadruples the amount of work that each staff is going to have to do and travel time and all of that, and learning about the new transit system and how they function and their intergovernmental agreements, and it's just a little more complicated, and I was trying to avoid that,
If you got a
putting that on
consultant,
staff.
they do the same thing to the staff. Ask and whatever, the staff would have to.
Well, most of the work would be on the consultant side, though. We would just be answering questions. We wouldn't be doing the work of trying to learn about the Rockford Mass Transit District and how they function. Sorry?
He has to know what the business is here. The consultant would.
Well, we weren't able to find a consultant, so it's a moot point.
Had you, he would have caused a lot of work for the staff. That's my point.
Got it.
Donna, please.
First, I apologize for being a few minutes late. I was in another meeting, tried to get here. So I don't know how much you've talked about, but as a member of the Decennial Committee, I do think that the MTD has made a good faith effort to try to find a consultant. And I go back to my first question when I first joined this committee. It's still unclear to me what exactly we're looking for, what a consultant would do. And I've met with Carl and George, and we've talked about this, and I guess we could continue to try, but if other places have not been able to secure a consultant to come in to review, I don't know how much more effort can be put into securing or locating a consultant when, again, to me, I'm not even sure. I asked about a baseline, and we didn't really have a baseline. I talked about, are we trying to review policy, procedures? Are there things that are inadequate or not satisfactory now? And nobody really gave me a clear understanding. So I guess my opinion would be, after reaching out maybe to the College of Geese, I don't know really what else or how much effort should be put into it.
Phil.
What were we figuring we were going to be maybe spending on a consultant roughly? I mean, it's an RFQ, so it's a request for qualifications. I get that, but.
Yeah, I had thrown a dart at a board, and my dart landed on the $10,000 area. But beyond that, I don't know.
Thanks.
The purpose of the act is to increase accountability and efficiency.
Well,
So far, the act, if we do it ourselves, it's decreasing efficiency.
it's certainly adding work. So yes, I don't disagree with that. I just to remind you, Bruce, I was not the author of the act, so I agree, and I agree that it's additional work, and we just want to comply with the law. We thought that we could maybe use that as a springboard to do something more productive than that without putting a lot of extra work on staff, and that doesn't seem to be playing out. So we'll check with Geese Business School. Outside of that, I think we'll just forge ahead with staff. Alex, you have something?
Just to provide some context, as Ashley was talking about, when I was looking for potential sources and resources and things like that, looking online, there are multiple types of entities that are in this same boat. In fact, I found an entity that services townships. They've gone so far as to provide what appears to be a template for a report, and basically said, just look at your own stuff and fill out this report. It doesn't sound like that's going to be a very deep dive look at themselves, and they're just checking the box, if you will, because this is an unfunded mandate. and there doesn't seem to be a lot of direction. I think it probably started out with good intentions, but somewhere along the lines, as one of our members here has pointed out, the direction has been lost, I think. So I think the MTD is trying to take a good look at trying to do what was intended, but we're having a lot of difficulty finding out that in reality, there's no one out there who can do the work. And again, I think there's a lack of direction from the statute.
So with that, I guess if there aren't any other comments, I'll throw it back to Brad, and I'll...
So moving forward, we're going to contact Geese, see if there's anyone there that might potentially be interested in taking on a project.
Yep, that's a good idea.
To generate some paper that's going to go in a file that's going to get pitched in the trash can. Basically is what this is. This is paper generator as far as I'm concerned. I agree with the idea, but it's requiring all of these tiny little taxing bodies to try to figure out how they can cooperate with other taxing bodies. It's a little ridiculous. Anyway, it's the situation that we find ourselves in. So we'll follow up with that information. Do we have another meeting scheduled when we might, or do we want to put a timeline on that outreach?
We don't have anything scheduled. If we are able to get some interest from a faction of the business school, then we probably would schedule another meeting to talk through that with you. But again, barring that, staff will just forge ahead and work on the document. Quite frankly, we'll probably use the township template that Alex was able to get his hands on, and then we'll have another meeting to review the draft report and move from there. So we don't have anything scheduled yet, and the schedule would depend on whether or not Geese responds positively.
But there is a timeline for this to be completed, which I don't recall. Is it November?
Yeah, I think it's December. I think we have to give the report to the county board by December. Alex is looking, he's giving me a stink eye, so that I might not be right on that. But I think it was 18 months from when the committee started, which was July. So I think it's December. So not this December, obviously, but next December. So I think we have time.
Who do we report to, or all these agencies report to?
All the Act requires us to do is to deliver the report, to hand the report to the county board.
Oh.
We don't have to give a presentation to the county board. There's no state body that receives it. The Act just requires us to give the written report to the county board.
And they put it in a file.
And then they'll do whatever they do.
Put it in a file, and that's where it ends.
Because they're going to get them from all these taxing bodies, and what are they going to do with them? I don't know.
Yeah, there's no further direction as to where those are going to go and what's going to happen. All right. Our next item on our agenda would be, those were our next steps, survey of attending residents. No. Okay. At this time, with our business concluded, I will ask for a motion and a second to adjourn our meeting of the Decennial Committee on Local Government Efficiency. It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. For tech, we're going to take about a 3-minute break and kind of reset, and